thought I was talking. I was talking to myself because I didn't have this hooked up right, and my apologies to all of you. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for waiting for us. Now, before I go any farther, I just want to make sure that you can all hear me, right? Is everybody on? Like, are we getting the high fives from everybody? The audience, in the comments, we're live. Um, Let's see here. We're live. I see Erica's post. Anybody else? I am seeing Zen's post is just anybody comment in the
Nettie, we're live, darling. We're live. I checked. We're live.
Okay, good, good.
Good to go.
Okay. Very, very sorry, and thank you very much, Carol. I see your post up there. Okay, so when I started out, I did want to say, happy President's Day to you guys, and to all the Canadians up there, happy Family Day. Nothing in common with those two, but I just want to wish you happiness, and thank you for coming and spending this hour with us, where we set out to give you pure value every single week. If you're new here, please say hi to us in the chat roll. We'd love to see what you have to say, and please come back every week. We love giving these hangouts for you guys, the doer, the dreamer, the entrepreneur, you, the person that's looking for Freedom Day. So I want to get right into it because I've already spent 10 minutes of this hour trying to get on. So tonight's topic is how to get clear on who you are and what your calling is. You know, getting clear about what your unique purpose is can be the difference between living a happy life, a life of abundance, a life of having choices, a life of growth, or you can be stuck in that restrictive cage where you feel you can't make decisions and you use the same tired old excuses all the time. We were all given a gift. We really were. And sometimes it takes us a lot of years to find that gift. But I really think down deep, if we look at ourselves, it was always there. It was always there. We always had some little bug in the back of our head that maybe we wanted to do this, or we had this gift to give to somebody, or whatever it is. So tonight, I want to talk to you about, if you knew you have the gift, if you know you've got it, but you just feel like if you talk to anybody about it that they're going to think you're a big wackadoodle, and so you back off. You're afraid to say anything. Well, here's my first message. Do not waste your precious time giving one single breath about what anybody else thinks about you. Other people's opinions, they motivate us when we're young, when we're in our teens, in our early years, and even our 20s. But as we age, and if we're moving into the right direction, our obsession with how we are perceived by others begins to trickle away. But very few of us are able to escape its pointless grasp completely. And that's me included. Now, how many of you out there right now, and you can post this in the chat if you want to, if you're like this, but how many of you feel that you are still being influenced on what you pursue because of the hold that either your mom or your dad has put on you? And maybe it could go back to education, your education. They thought you should be doing something different. Maybe it's the partner that you chose in your life, or maybe it's how you're raising your children, or maybe it's just a dream that you know you want and you're chasing, and they just think you've lost your cotton-picking mind. I don't know. I call it rebellion with me, call it strong-willed, call it genetics because I was adopted, but I butted heads with my mom on most everything that I wanted to pursue. I, in school, and I didn't like school. I was like a Justin Ferengia. I didn't want to be there, except to play sports, and that's what I wanted to do. And she thought that was the most useless thing I could ever pursue. She didn't get it, that it taught you discipline, that it taught you to make teammates, and it taught you to seek to be to the top, to go to the top, to be a winner. She didn't get that, you know, and and then she wanted me to further my education. I didn't like school to begin with, and then to go on and waste my dad's money because he did tell me he was going to pay for it. So nope, I went right out and I got married. And I was 18 years old. And then it started 5 years later when I started having kids. She started telling me I wasn't raising the kids right. But you know what? She had a hold on me, but I always broke away from her. I always treated her with respect, but I always had my own mind. And she used to tell me, you're nothing like me. No, I knew I was nothing like her. I was very much strong-willed and strong-minded, and I knew what I wanted to go after to an extent. I didn't know what my true gift was yet. But the truth is, the only question you ever need to consider when making a decision about your life is, there's 3 questions. And the first one is this something I want to be, do, or have? Okay? The second question is this going to take me in a direction I want to go, not should I go? Huge, huge. Third one is this going to screw over anybody in the process? And the definition of screwing over someone is, taking their money and doing a lousy job, or destroying their water source, or enslaving populations, something out there. Things like that. Your mother or your father being disappointed or disapprove does not qualify at all as screwing someone over. Doesn't. So we throw this blanket of ho-humry over our lives when we live in fear of what others might think, instead of celebrating who we are. And yeah, I know it's a part of our survival instinct to care. It really is. Here you go. Here's an analogy. So you get booted from the tribe because you're not like the norm, okay? You never get booted from this tribe, though. Total Inspired Living Tribe, you never get booted from us guys. But you get booted from the tribe, and you go and you freeze to death, or you starve, or you're going to be eaten by wolves. But because we have big brains and the ability to manifest anything that we set our minds to, there's another vision that's equally as plausible. So you get booted from the tribe, the norm, okay, and you start or you find another tribe that's more your style. You could not only wind up doing what you love, surrounded by people you adore, and who actually relate to you, but you might one day realize that you can no longer even remember the names of the people whose approval you were looking for so long ago. Nobody who ever accomplished anything, big or new, or worth raising a celebratory fist in the air, did it from their comfort zone. They didn't. They risked it all. So once you step away from the herd and let your true self shine, you probably find yourself in front of an opinion firing squad. Especially if what you want to do is extraordinary and outside of everyone's comfort zone, which is what every single person on this panel does. Okay? Merely allowing yourself to be seen as a risk, it just scares people. So, I mean, look how we treat celebrities. Every move, they're picked apart, they're discussed, they're judged, they're photographed without their makeup on. It's a wonder only half of them spend time in rehab. But you are responsible for what you say and do. You are not responsible for whether or not people freak out about it. Okay? You're the only one that's responsible to yourself. So here's an example. Sam and I, we really like going to the movies. And it's very rare that we ever disagree on a movie. Like we're pretty much on the same plane of what we like, and we're into that Bourne Identity stuff, and American Sniper was awesome. But we occasionally will go to a movie I love, like a chick flick, okay? And we'll come out of that movie, and I'll be a blubbering idiot, sniffing and snuffling my head off. And he's ready to march right over and get his money back because he thinks it's the worst piece of garbage he's ever seen. One movie, two very different experiences. And why? Because it's not about the movie. It's about the moviegoers. Okay? What other people think about you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. But here's an important note, and I just want to point this out, okay, about outside opinions. Like, why you should never base your self-worth on what other people think. Never do that. It doesn't mean that you should miss out on the opportunity to benefit from outside input altogether, especially if the input is from those that you know well. And I am not really talking about parents here. I'm talking, like, look at the panel right here. If Erica tells me, which she did the other day, she sent me a private message about something, and it was constructive complimenting, okay? It was to help me do what I was doing. So I have to stand back and I have to look at it and I have to go, is she right? And if I don't think she is, then I carry on. But if I think she is right, then I have to look at it and go, yeah, that can really help me, which I know it will. On the other hand, if, you know, somebody has been saying to you, you're a hothead, and I don't like talking to you because I'm afraid to talk to you because if I do, you're going to blow up, and why do you do that? And you have to really look at yourself and go, am I a hothead? Like, do I blow up at the drop of a hat? And if you do, then you really need to take a good look at yourself, because that is constructive criticism, okay? And if you feel that there's room for improvement, then you go after it. But if you don't think there is, then you just move on. But I saw this happen this weekend on Facebook. There was a guru from a company that went all freaky on Facebook because he felt that he had been taken off the leaderboards and he shouldn't have been, and other people were starting to move up the leaderboards, and he had gotten tied to getting himself that compliment all the time, and he had almost lost his identity. Like, sometimes it's easier for other people to see what we can't see for ourselves, and it comes down to what is true for you, you know. But the trick is not only to deny the criticism any power over you, but even more challenging, not to get caught up in the praise. There's nothing wrong with a blushing, accepting compliment, but if you find yourself always seeking outside approval that you're good enough, or you're cool enough, or you're talented enough, you're screwed. Because if you base your self-worth on what everyone else thinks of you, you hand all your power over to the other people, and you become dependent on a source outside of yourself. And then you wind up chasing after something that you don't have any control over, so it's not very pretty. But all that matters is what's true to you. And if you can stay connected to that without straying, you'll be a superhero. Everything else is just people's perception of reality, and that is none of their business. So quickly, how can you truly not care what other people think and be your most powerful self? It's easy to say, but how do you do that? Well, first of all, you ask yourself why. Why are you about to say or do something? Is it to be liked? Is it to put someone down because you feel insecure? Is it to get someone back because they made a joke about your hair? Or is it coming from a place of strength and truth? Are you doing it because it'll be fun, because you feel called to do it, because it'll change someone else's life in a positive way, in a martyr-free way? Pay attention to your motivations and really be honest. I mean, practice coming from a place of integrity and you'll be victorious. So that's number one. Why? Number two, always do your best. I mean, there's no faster way to fall prey to an outside input than when you're feeling insecure, okay? And there is no better way to feel insecure than knowing you half-assed something, or you don't really believe in what you're doing. No matter what it is, if you're raising your bar or raising your children, if you do the absolute best you can possibly do, it'll come from a place of integrity, and then you can be proud of yourself and not give a damn what anybody else thinks. Okay? So always do your best. And third, trust your intuition. I mean, birds use intuition to navigate to their way to their breeding grounds halfway around the world. And deers and rabbits and other wild prey, they use their intuition to avoid running into a predator or a hunter. But the average human, on the other hand, will take the advice of their drunk before noon neighbor across the street instead of doing what deep down we know is best. How many times have you thought to yourself, I knew I should have listened to my gut? Oh, hello, me, lost count, but really listen to it because it's typically always right. Number four, find a role model. Find a mentor or a hero or a role model. Get clear on why this person is impressive and inspiring to you, and when faced with a challenge that leaves you guessing how to react, ask yourself, what would my hero do? Not caring what others think is a muscle that can take some time to build up. So use this trick while you're still getting strong, and before you know it, you'll be able to ditch your hero and start asking yourself, what would I do? And then number 5, of course, is love yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. So I've tried to give you what I feel is the best way to go after it. If you've got that little thing tucked in the back of your head and you're afraid what everybody else is going to say, stop being afraid. Just go do it, okay? So right now I'm going to turn it over to Shirley May, because I think she wants to talk about something too on how to get this right.
Thank you, Nettie. You know what? When you speak, you always inspire me, and I know it's my turn to go next, and I'm looking at my notes, and then I'm listening to my heart, and then I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, you know, what am I going to say? And you always bring out a part of me that, you know, just wants to speak from the heart. So I'm going to touch briefly on what you said about ego, and then I'm going to go into, you know, how to get clear on who you are, what your purpose is, specifically if you're the type of person who doesn't know what the heck a purpose is. Like all these, you know, what is that, right? But again, like I said, touching on that ego, like Nettie said, I think that when you're new, and even when you're, you know, advanced or in between, there's something that happens to you when you're working your business, and it may not be as drastic as, you know, making a fuss about the leaderboards and feeling like you're not getting recognition, but it may be something as simple as when creating a video, let's say, and you publish it, and there's that little voice inside that says, I've done the video, I've done the blog post, I've done it, I just want to get it out of the way, I've done it for the day, what more can anyone ask? And I have to say I struggle with that, because I think the true definition of success is taking massive action and then secondly tweaking, right? if you can never, if your ego is so big that you think every time you produce content, it's good enough the way it is, well, that's true, but do you not want to be the best version of yourself? Do you not want to be someone who is 100% all into their business? And what that means is that you take care of the loose ends. You tidy things up. You blog on purpose. You do videos with intention. And if you watch your videos again and it makes you cringe, then you need to put your ego aside and you need to edit it and you need to get that shit tied up. You need to do it right, okay? So what I want to talk about is purpose. For the longest time, what was purpose? You know, I'd hear all these people talking about purpose, running around talking about their life's purpose. And I'd always wonder, well, who told you what your purpose was? Like, did you know, climb up a mountain and talk to a guru, and did he, or did you open a Chinese cracker and, you know, those little, what are they called, with your horoscopes or whatever in them, who told you what your life purpose was? How did you find out? And everyone would have these glorious, big, huge life purposes, and I'd be, you know, sitting here in my little corner thinking, what do I have to offer the world? How am I supposed to figure that out? And it took me a while, but when I came across this team, suddenly the pieces started falling into place. And if you're maybe still at that point, I want you to do what I did to find out what my purpose was. I decided that my purpose had been within me all the time, because throughout my life I'd felt nudges. I'd felt you know, things in my gut, things in my stomach pointing me which way to go, and I never at the time really knew what it was, but looking back it made sense. So when defining my life's purpose, these are the questions I asked. And I'm going to read this off. What did you talk about most as a kid? What were you fascinated with as a kid? So let me explain. When I was a kid, I was an only child, so I had a very active imagination. And these were the things that I, you know, talked about and thought about. I draw all these pictures of lemonade stands, and I had this grand idea of this bake shop on wheels, and I would hire all my classmates so that I could give them all money and we could all live happily ever after. And to that nature, over and over, I'd have all these little business ideas. I'd have ideas where, you know, if you've ever read The Babysitter's Club, where they, you know, keep notes and they have activities, I would do that. I would have all these ideas and things written down. And then my last type of thing that I did when I was playing was I'd have this Lego family, and I'd have the mom and the dad and the kids, and there'd never be any only kids. There'd always be huge families, and I'd help them harvest their crops, and I'd help them, you know, flee from pretend natural disasters. And I mean, looking at that, you know, you may think, what the heck, where is your life purpose in that? Like, that's just a little kid playing on the floor. What are you going to get from that? And what I got from that, when I really started thinking about it, was team building, right? Team building, business, solving problems that involve lots of people. And now, in my business today, as a blogger, as an entrepreneur, the same things, the same hobbies and interests I had as a kid are showing up in my life as gifts, as things that I'm naturally good at and that I'm trying to get better at, right? So I want you to start asking yourself different questions. If you're struggling to find out what your life purpose is, reframe it. Ask different questions. What did you talk about, again, like we first covered, what did you talk about most as a kid? What were your interests? What fascinates you? To this day, what are you obsessed with? If I would go onto your Pinterest boards, what would I find, right? A lot of you guys may say, well, I have no idea what to blog about. I don't know what my purpose is. Well, if I go to your Pinterest boards, I would see everything, okay? And I've got to tell you, a life's purpose is, I would put it as simply as this: showing up as your best version of yourself, serving others. Showing up as your best version of yourself, serving others, your interests, right? You can't talk about something that you're not interested in. So what I'm going to close with, if you haven't clicked the link below yet and you don't know what we're about, I would invite you to do that now, because what we're about, this blogging community, is teaching people how to take their interests and how to turn it into a profit-pulling blog. Okay? So when you think about what you want to blog about, and I'm wrapping this up from what's your life purpose to what are you going to blog about, because to me those are the same things. You're going to find how easy it is to find an audience of people who are searching desperately for the things that you're interested in talking about. Okay? If you don't become a master of your life's purpose, if you don't become a master of what you're obsessed with, then this group of people that's out there, that's searching on Google, that's looking on Facebook and looking at Facebook ads, they're never going to find their answers. They're never going to find their solutions. They're never going to find this blog that's about knitting or bulldogs or sports cars, or right? So what are you fascinated with, number one? And number two, that's going to simply lead you to your life's purpose. It doesn't have to be some big grand thing where you raise thousands of orphanages and you hang out with Richard Branson. And I mean, those things are great, but bottom line, it comes down to what you love to do, and that will translate into how you can help people. So first, figure out what you love to do, and then you will be shown how it can help other people. So that's all I'm going to say for tonight. Nettie, it is family day in Ontario, like she said, so I will be jumping off of this hangout and spending the rest of the day with my family. But I am going to watch the replay and hear what everyone else said, and I hope I can catch your comments and questions in the chat box when I listen to the replay tomorrow.
That's awesome, Shirley. Thank you. And what you said earlier there, it really stuck with me. I wrote it down. Showing up as your best and serving others. So true. So true. If we all do that, we've got the world by the tail. So anyways, thanks for showing up, and get back to your family. Appreciate you coming out, and stay warm, okay, kiddo?
Love you. See you.
You too. Bye. Okay, Zen. Miss Zen, it's your turn. And Miss Zen's in the house.
All right, I'm in the house, and you know what? As usual, I make notes while everybody prior to me talks, and I love it because this is exciting. I love being here. I just enjoy the energy of talking with you ladies and whoever else is listening. I just think it's great, and I love you all so much. But I wanted to talk tonight about not getting caught up in one calling. And I'm old enough to talk about that topic. But I want to go back to what Shirley just said, because young as she is, she's an old soul, because mine wraps around the same as hers wraps around. Be the best version of yourself, serving others. Because when you're doing what you love, the money will come. And there's a book written with that title, and it's so true. But I wanted to also comment on something that you said, and it was about no matter where you come from. So I'm just going to give you the quick blast of my past, which is hysterical, because you might get me even a little bit better. But I'm a cop's kid. So I'm the kid who had the dad who looked like General Patton, you know. Nobody wanted to come to the door because Patton might answer the door, and he was intimidating looking, and he was Italiano, and he was very protective of me, and so people feared this guy. And he was really a funny guy, because he could be difficult like that with other people, being protective of the family, but internally he was a sweetheart. He was always looking out after our best, in our best honor. So but on the one hand, he was so blue-collar that I grew up with, you got to get a job, got to get a good job, you got to work hard, you got to go to the school of hard knocks, Lily, that's what you got to do. And so as much as I tried not to internalize those things, they come up, and you think about it and you go, well, I guess he got that from his parents, but do I have to internalize that? I always questioned everything. I've always been a little bit oddball like that. I was the youngest kid, and I was allowed a lot of latitude to think however I wanted to think, do what I wanted to do, not clean my room for a couple days because I knew somebody would pick it up eventually, that kind of stuff. So I got a little bit spoiled like that. But I must say that being how I grew up with my father like that, and the grab a job and all that, he always had that higher thing about serving other people, and I wrote a blog post about it, the cop, the hypnotherapist, and serving others or something. I can't remember the name, but to this day, I still always, before I do something, I think, what would Emil do? Now, I know that I don't want to affront anybody who thinks, what would Jesus do? Because I don't put my father on that big of a pedestal, but I do think, how would Emil handle this one? Because he was always of that nature of, is it kind, is it helpful, and is it true? If it doesn't meet that criteria, do not call anybody out over anything, because you either have to give people advice to be helpful, do it in a kind way if you have to do it at all, and make sure your assessment of what's going on is true to begin with. Because otherwise, you are just throwing bullets, and there's no reason to do that. Never rain on anybody's parade, because no one will ever ask you to rain on their parade. If you want to help them get their parade going, help them get their parade going. But do not ever put the kibosh on somebody else's parade. And so, let's see. What did I write here? Blog post from oh, about blogging. I came up with this the other day because there are days when you're, and I don't do it daily. I do it 3 or 4 times a week. There, I said it. I'm being honest. Because I want them to be good, and I want to put some thought into it. And I decided that until at least one sentence makes me tear up, I'm not publishing. Now, that may not make everybody tear up, and it might not even be that sentence. It might be a different sentence. But if it gets me in the core, just one sentence, then it's got to be hitting somebody else in the core. Somebody. Out of all the people on this planet, somebody's going to get hit to the core with that same thing, too. And that's where I operate from with that. Now I'm going to get into don't get caught up in your one calling, because I want to just give you my quick background. When I was 14, a kid on my street came over, and he said, my mom just gave me money to go get a haircut, but I hate going to get haircuts because they always chop off all my hair. And I said, well, who do you want to look like? Whose hair would you want? And he said, I want to look like Rod Stewart. And I said, well, sit down. And I cut his hair. I grabbed my mother's shears, and I just started cutting his hair. And sure enough, it came out awesome. He looked like Rod Stewart, but that wasn't hard to do. You had to just chop it up and put some gel in there, and I did it. And he gave me the $15, and I went, hey, wait a minute. I can make money like this. And I loved it. It was fun. So I became a hairstylist. That was my first incarnation. And the other thing I did, because I asked the owner of the salon, I said, how quick can I get a full booking? And he goes, oh, about 18 months. And I went, 18 months? I wanted money, and I wanted to do things now. So I got a job bartending one night a week, and I printed up business cards, and I handed them out to everyone. I said, this is what I really do, but I'm just here pouring you drinks tonight. And I got a clientele within 6 months, and it was incredible. It was fun. It was awesome. But what I noticed when I was behind the chair is a lot of people, and I cut everybody from, 10-year-olds up to, 60, 70-year-old people. A lot of people would ask me advice, and it's interesting because as a hairstylist, you're doing hair, you're being creative, and yet people would ask your opinion or your advice, and I thought very carefully, like, what would Emil do? Is what I'm about to say, is it going to be helpful enough? Is it going to be kind? Is it going to be compassionate to where they're coming from? Do I know where they're coming from? And is it true, my assessment of where they're coming from? And so I was very careful in what I doled out, but I realized that as time went on and I got asked that more and more, that people valued that. So I thought, there's something to that. I'm a people observer, and I've got a gift for that. And then flash forward, and things happen in life, and I moved to California. I always wanted to live here, and I didn't get my license right away. And I did other things, and I went into sales, and they always restructured my commission. So I just thought, okay, interesting. And then in 2005, my family moved to Singapore. I'm giving you the very quick version because I don't want to talk for too long, but I moved to Singapore in 2005, and I started writing a blog just so that everybody had a feel for what I was going through every day. It was fun, it was challenging, it was exotic, and so I had a personal blog for 3 years. And I so enjoyed writing, and I so enjoy helping people, get to be the best version of themselves. And then they can help and serve others, because that's just how that works. It's a pay-it-forward kind of life. And so when it came together for me to do something that would actually, pay me in a commission structure where I didn't have to be present every single moment, like being a hairstylist, and I loved being a hairstylist, but I realized very quickly if I was sick, I didn't get paid. If I wanted to go on vacation, I had to pay for the vacation and not get paid. And I just thought, I don't want to do that for 40 years. So all these things seem to have built up to who I am today and how I'm approaching what I do for a living now. Now I can write and I can meet people, and I still do part-time as a hypnotherapist one-on-one, but if I can help people through my writing, one more person than the person I see just in front of me, then I've helped many, and I've helped more than one, and that's meaningful to me. And to be able to write a little creatively and a little effectively, that's meaningful to me. And when something is meaningful to you, it usually is meaningful to at least one other person out there. And that is becoming the best version of yourself. And so I focus on that. I never focus on cash. Cash is nice, but whenever something happens where I made a sale, I thought, today I helped somebody. I actually helped somebody. Even when I was in advertising sales, I helped somebody get the placement and exposure they needed today. That's what I did. And so I got compensated for it. We all love a little bit of cash, so I have nothing against cash in the making of it, but it's in how you go about getting it. And so if I'm serving someone in the capacity that gives of the knowledge and things that I can help somebody with, then I've done the job. That is my job. And I think my job is complete here, too, so I'm going to hand it back to Nettie to forward it on to someone else. Thanks so much for listening.
I could listen to you all night, so I don't know if it's ever complete then. But, yeah, we do only have an hour, so, and I'm sorry I wasted so many minutes at the beginning of this tonight. But, Kristen, please come on board and let us hear what you suggest people should do.
All right. Well, I actually love the challenge. I always watch the clock, and I'm like, okay, have to I'm just trying to I think you guys put me towards the end for a reason, and that's so I can learn how to be very precise with what I'm going to talk about, which may or may not work one of these weeks. But actually, what I want to talk about kind of piggybacks off of exactly what Zen was talking about, but she may disagree with me. I don't know. But when I was thinking about what it is to find your purpose or your calling and to be getting clear, what I realized is that we all already know what it is. We all live in our purpose every single day. The only thing that so many people don't do is, or what they do, is they become complacent. And they keep themselves in a box. So, for example, going back to what Shirley said, taking what your childhood and how you dreamed about. When I was younger, I had this massive dream of being able to help people, and to people who no one else wanted to help, like in the criminal justice system, like the people that everyone just tosses aside and says that they can't change. Those are the people that I wanted to help. But then as I got into growing up and getting into school and stuff, you start hearing all the realistic expectations from your parents and from your teachers, and, well, that's not a realistic dream, so what can you do with that? And so it led me to going to college to become a social worker, which did not fit my personality whatsoever. So it turned into a different degree, but the purpose was still the same behind there. The only thing that changed was I put myself into a box. I put my purpose into a box, and I became complacent with it. And I thought that this was all I was capable of doing, is just this very small living. And it wasn't until, to be honest with you, when I got into online marketing, into entrepreneurship, and into, well, my original thing was in the MLM. When I first got into it, I actually had a really hard time with it, because in the beginning, I thought I was giving up my purpose. I thought I was letting go of who I really was. And so I justified that by saying, well, you know what, I'll just get into it, I'll make money, and then I'll be able to do what I really want to be able to do. And what you realize is this has opened up the doors for me to truly live out my life's purpose on a huge, massive scale, if I do the work and if I do what it takes for me to get there. And so the only difference for me and somebody who's not here yet is I chose not to be complacent. I chose not to let myself get stuck being in one career. Like, I love I love that idea of not getting stuck within one purpose, because actually I was thinking of this when Zen was talking. If you look at what all of her careers, she's lived out her purpose in every single one of her careers or jobs or whatever she's done. She's always been true to who she is, and it's over time, it's almost like it's just upscaled and to get onto a larger and a larger and a larger platform. And so we all live our purpose every day, whether it's you're a teacher and you go to work because you love kids and you want to speak life into children and teach them, but yet we stop ourselves from going beyond that. And the same thing for people who want to just be stay-at-home parents. That's great and that's amazing. That's one of the most important jobs out there, and yet they just stop themselves and that's all they become. And when there's so much more that they can do and so much more that you can do. And that's what I've learned is that, and it actually took, I believe, and you'd have to forgive me, 2 of our viewers out there, John and Sean, I forget who told me this, which probably means they both told me this at some point. I remember in one of a conversation we were having in a Facebook conversation, and I said, you know, we were talking about purpose, and I talked about my dreams of when I was a little kid, like what it was that I wanted to do. And, you know, I spoke about how I always just wanted to change one person's life. I just wanted to be that catalyst where I could be that hope and that inspiration for one person. And I got like private messages, and they're like, you're already doing that. You're already living your purpose. And when you realize that you're already living your purpose, it's so much simpler to get completely clear on where you need to go from there. And that's what, and then what everyone else has said, getting in the right environment, getting around the right people, because getting around the right people speaks life into you. You know, I thought I had big dreams when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, and they are tiny compared to where I know I'm headed now, and it's all because I chose not to become complacent, and I chose to let myself get out of that box, and that's the most amazing thing about living your purpose, is that it's really not difficult to figure it out because you already know what it is. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to take the next step, which is taking that step out of the box, out of your preconceived ideas of what it is that you need to do to live out that purpose, and just expand it and make it so much larger, make it huge, because that's what we're all here to do. We're here to be great. We're here to make a difference in the world, however that may look for you. But you know, we just have to blow it up and make it so much bigger, because that's what we all have the potential to do. So I'm actually going to keep it really simple and leave it at that. Otherwise, I'll just start going crazy, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to pass it over to Erica while I'm doing well. Or back to Zen, or back to Nettie, and then over to Erica there.
Yeah. Okay. Can I buy a name? There you go. Yeah. No, you were doing really well. So, Erica, please take it away, because I don't want to cut you short, too. Thanks, Kristen.
I love that we're all under this time pressure. It's really awesome because it makes us bang out our most important points really quickly. Darlings, I am not going to repeat anything that everyone else has already said because they all individually hit the nail on the head. One thing that you guys probably don't know is that we don't actually get together and discuss what we're going to talk about before we get on. And it's really interesting the way this all flows, because it's just one flows to another, which flows to another, which flows to another, and it's just also beautifully congruent. And the one thing that everyone hit on is the fact that your life purpose is found in giving. When you give to another, that's where your life purpose is. And I'm going to read really, really quickly. If you don't have this book yet, I highly recommend you do invest in it. It's a beautiful little book. It'll take you about, 2 hours to read it. And it's called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, a practical guide to the fulfillment of your dreams. And it's by Deepak Chopra, okay? This little baby here. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm just going to read really quickly to wrap up this call. And the reason I want to read this bit to you is because I want you to know that your unique talent is part of a universal law. You have one. It's written. You have one. So just really hear this. It's called the law of Dharma, okay? The law of Dharma is to express our unique talents. The law of Dharma says that every human being has a unique talent. You have a talent that is unique in its expression. So unique that there's no one else alive on this planet that has that talent or that expression of that talent. This means that there's this means that there's one thing you can do, and only one way of doing it, that is better than anyone else on this entire planet. When you're doing that one thing, you lose track of time. When you're expressing that one unique talent that you possess, or more than one unique talent in many cases, the expression of that talent takes you into a timeless awareness. Now, Shirley kind of, touched on this when she was talking about being a child, when you're playing, okay? This is somehow, in some place where your unique talents are found. And he goes on to say that service to humanity, to serve your fellow human beings, and to ask yourself this question: how can I help? How can I help all those that I come into contact with? Okay? This is how you start living your life on purpose. You were absolutely given a unique talent, a special gift that no one can do quite like you. Now, sometimes we get a little bit overwhelmed about finding out, what's our true life purpose. And I remember reading Wayne Dyer. It was really, really cute, because I was hung up on this whole thing one time. And he goes, if you want to get over yourself, just listen to the sentence. He goes, your unique purpose in life, your true talent, it could be picking up garbage on the street and making your street and community a better looking place. And I'm like, that's it? That can be my unique talent, my true calling in life, just to pick up some rubbish? But it made me realize, if I make someone else's experience on that footpath better because I picked up a piece of rubbish, yeah, that could be a true calling, just to make someone else's lives better, And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the community that we belong to is, as Zen mentioned, every time we do a blog post, or every time we create a video, every time we create some content, every time, as Shirley mentioned, we put our true, authentic self out there, we are living our true calling. We are living our true calling. And for some of us, that's all it means to be living on purpose, is just to give in all of your content. Like Zen said, if I don't, kind of like have a little, tear, am I going to publish it? I don't know. But every single day you put yourself out there as the best version of yourself, you are already living your true life's purpose. And it just gets better and better and better and better. And my darlings, on that note, I'm going to hand it back to Nettie. Thank you so much for joining us for another week, darlings. It's always such a privilege to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Mwah.
Thanks, Missy. That was lovely. And I think she said it the best that we could say it to you. Live every day for what purpose is in your heart. Now, give when you can give, and love when you love, like love all the time. But I know a lot of you are here saying, okay, I'm in business, so what is my true purpose? Oh, that's so easy to figure out. Just look to the people that you're serving. And when you can say, yes, I changed one person's life today because I said something in a blog, or I said something in a video, you gave them hope in themselves. You gave them belief that they can do it. You maybe trained them on some kind of a training that they so desperately needed. Or it could be, like, I'm not talking about internet marketing. I'm talking about, the fact that if you're in dog training, if you can teach somebody how to train your dog to sit or something like that, I mean, that means the world to that person. They're ecstatic. So never degrade yourself. And if you've got a wish to be something, go after it. Because I am telling you, when you put your heart and your soul and your mind to it and you think on it every day, it's going to come to you. And get yourself around like-minded people. Get yourself around people like us, okay? We are a magnificent tribe, and we love teaching and training and caring for you. That's why we bring you these hangouts. So if you want to join us, there's a link below that says Let's Get Started. You can click on that and have a look around at things. You can get a hold of any of us on Facebook and talk to us about that. But for heaven's sakes, do something. Don't go to the end of your life with regrets. Because if you've got this purpose, like all of us said tonight, it's always there. It's there. Don't tell me that you're just thinking about it today. You've been thinking about it for years and years and years. So it's time to bring it out. So join us. We'll help you. You'll be so much happier. You'll make other people happier. Click the link below. Get started. But like I said, get back to the person also that invited you to come here tonight. You can also do that, or hit us all up on Facebook, any of us. But we would love to welcome you into this tribe. So on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, and we will see you again next week, same place, same time, same people. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Love you.